If you feel like the AI world has been moving at, well, light speed lately, you're definitely not wrong. It really feels like we're staring down an inflection point. The sheer velocity of releases, combined with this fundamental shift in AI capability, it's just utterly transforming the tech landscape.
It really is. It's a genuinely overwhelming amount of information coming out almost daily. But we've tried to distill it for you. We've been sifting through a massive stack of sources, everything from, tech giant battle reports to these deep academic dives on micro efficiency. And the key takeaway seems pretty profound. AI is rapidly moving from being just a passive tool you manually point somewhere to an autonomous agent, something that takes initiative and acts on your behalf.
Right, and that's really our mission today. To try and cut through some of that noise, we need to understand the new metrics defining this race, because it's not just about raw speed anymore, is it? It's also efficiency. And we need to trace exactly how AI is embedding itself, not just into, consumer apps, but deep into enterprise workflows, sensitive security systems, and, well, the very fabric of how we handle complex tasks.
Absolutely. What's fascinating looking at the sources is that there are these two major things happening in parallel. First, you've got this fierce, almost manic competition driving down cost and increasing speed at a truly staggering rate. And second, this pressure is forcing critical societal shifts in everything from corporate data policy to, believe it or not, educational models. So yeah, we're going to unpack these efficiency wars, look at the rise of the true agent, and then touch on the necessary response in security and ethics, which frankly seems to be struggling to keep pace.
Okay, let's start with that speed war then. The competition right now, it feels incredibly focused, and it's driving these unbelievable performance gains for less money. The most aggressive move we saw reported was Anthropic's new Claude Haiku 4.5 model.
Yeah, that was a huge statement. Haiku's their most lightweight, fast tier. It's designed for high volume, low latency stuff. And this new version, the reports show it running at double the speed and, get this, 1/3 the cost of the previous version. And crucially, its performance, especially in complex things like coding or computer use tasks, is matching or even beating their older mid-tier model, Sonnet 4.
Okay, hold on. So we have a fast, cheap model performing like a significantly more powerful, older one. And Anthropic just released this for free use to spur competition. That sounds very much like a price war strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. They're throwing down the gauntlet. They're effectively demanding that the competition match this efficiency benchmark, right now. And meanwhile, you see the bigger players scrambling. Google's teasing Gemini 3.0 Pro as its smartest model yet.
Yeah.
And they launched VO 3.1 Video, focusing more on finer creative controls, better audio multi-reference guidance. They're pushing the creative angle.
And OpenAI, the market leader, they're hitting massive revenue numbers. Sources cite them approaching $13 billion annually. But they're also dealing with these staggering high costs of just scaling their infrastructure, right? They're trying to expand rapidly, pushing products like ChatGPT go to, 89 countries? But the economics of scaling these huge models must be brutal.
Which leads us directly to, I think, the first key aha moment for you listening. Size isn't the only game in town anymore, officially. We used to measure AI power primarily in parameters, trillions, sometimes the sheer size of the model. But efficiency, that's the new metric. That's the one that actually drives commercial viability and deployment at scale.
Can you give us a concrete example of that efficiency revolution in action?
Yeah, look at Samsung's tiny recursive model, TRM. The sources show this model has just 7 million parameters. Now, to put that in perspective, that's tiny, like trading a supercomputer for a really, really smart pocket calculator. Yet, in specific reasoning tasks, this little model rivals or even outperforms much, much larger models. This is a game changer for accessible, on-device AI that doesn't need massive cloud compute power.
Wait, let's pause there because that's genuinely astonishing. 7 million parameters, performing like models maybe hundreds of times larger. How are they even achieving that kind of efficiency, especially out at the edges of computing, like on a device?
Well, we're seeing smarter architectural designs and better hardware optimization working together. For instance, the sources mentioned tests where a quantized model Qwen 3 Next 80D actually performed better than the standard higher precision BF16 format on Apple's M3 Ultra chip.
Okay, let's quickly break down that jargon. What does quantized mean here for someone who isn't deep in the weeds?
Right, good point. Simply put, quantization is basically a compression technique. You're reducing the precision of the numbers the AI uses. Think of it like shrinking the file size of the model itself. So going from something like BF16 down to a quantized format means you sacrifice a tiny bit of numerical detail, maybe. but you gain massive speed and memory efficiency. And often, especially on specialized hardware like that M3 Ultra, there's hardly any performance drop. Sometimes, as we saw, it's even better.
Fascinating. And it's not just the models themselves, but how they handle queries is changing too, right? This idea of thinking tokens. What does that actually mean? Is the model literally saying to itself, hang on, this one's tricky, need to think harder?
Essentially, yes, but it's more implicit. Thinking tokens is basically an observation that these modern models dynamically allocate extra compute steps, more processing time for queries they kind of internally flag as harder. They figure out when they need to work a bit more versus just giving a quick answer. And NVIDIA is now even actively rewarding more informative reasoning chains during training, sort of reinforcing this smart thinking behavior.
Okay, so if we connect all this back to the bigger picture, this efficiency revolution, it still needs massive infrastructure to power it all, doesn't it? The sources highlighted Meta breaking ground on a colossal 1 gigawatt AI data center in Texas. That's huge. And that massive collaboration between OpenAI and Oracle to deploy, 450,000 advanced GPUs? These aren't small bets.
No, they're absolutely massive investments. They secure the future pipeline needed to develop, train, and run these increasingly powerful, cheaper, and smarter models. And just to briefly touch on policy shifts driven by this need for revenue, OpenAI announced plans to loosen content restrictions this December. They'll allow mature content, including erotica, but only for verified adult users. It's a clear move to open new revenue streams. But, predictably, it immediately drew criticism, even from investors like Mark Cuban citing potential safety risks. It just underscores the immense pressure they're under to monetize these incredibly expensive systems.
Right, which brings us neatly to the next big theme, the agentic tsunami. This is where the definition of AI really seems to be fundamentally changing. We're moving beyond AI as just a tool you poke, towards this autonomous agent that handles whole workflows. I keep picturing it like having a true AI coworker.
Precisely. That's the core trend. These AI assistants are becoming fully agentic. They can perceive a goal, figure out the steps, interact with multiple systems, and iterate all without needing constant human handholding for every single action.
Okay, a coworker. That sounds amazing for productivity, obviously. But where do the sources suggest the limits currently are? Are these agents just like really sophisticated macros stringing together existing steps? Or are they truly handling novel problems without needing a human to constantly check their work?
They're definitely moving beyond just being fancy macros. We see this most clearly in the enterprise space. Look at Salesforce. They're making their Agentforce 360 platform absolutely central to all their products now. They're already automating tasks and claiming it saves the company $100 million annually. That's not small change. But the real kicker is the deep integration. They're connecting proprietary CRM data and analytics directly into conversational AI environments like ChatGPT. That link between a general-purpose agent and sensitive, specific business data that's incredibly potent for automated decision-making.
And we're seeing agents take over genuinely complex, sort of end-to-end tasks in the developer world too, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. GitHub Copilot is the perfect example here. It's not just suggesting the next line of code anymore. The reports show it now handling things like vulnerability fixes, identifying and connecting different software components, and actually submitting pull request PRs all on its own. Even companies like ClickUp added a Cogen agent that can generate entire complex PRs just from unstructured stuff like meeting notes or a simple chat dialogue. That's real workflow automation.
And for those highly regulated sectors, the ones needing maximum security, the infrastructure is adapting too, to allow this autonomy safely.
Exactly. Microsoft's Agent Framework, SDK, and Azure's local MCP server, these are enabling fully offline DevOps workflows. That's huge for compliance-sensitive teams, banks, healthcare, government who need powerful AI agents but absolutely cannot risk connecting to the public cloud for security reasons. The agent is completely isolated.
And this agentic shift isn't just confined to code and big enterprise data, is it? It's flowing right into commerce and our daily lives, creating this kind of ambient shopping world.
Totally. Look at the Walmart example. That partnership with OpenAI integrates instant checkout directly into ChatGPT for personalized shopping recommendations.
Personalized convenience married directly to the transaction. I have to admit, I kind of love that idea.
Well, the market seemed to love it too. It drove a nearly 5% jump in Walmart's share price. Think about the friction it removes. The agent sees you're chatting about planning a family dinner, it cross-references your past preferences maybe, checks local store stock, and bam, puts all the specific ingredients right in your cart for immediate checkout. No more endless scrolling to find the right kind of milk. It's aiming for truly frictionless commerce.
And Google's doing similar things, baking agents deep into its ecosystem to tackle that administrative agony of daily life. I know you and I have both suffered the endless scheduling email chain.
Oh, absolutely. The back and forth about finding a time that works, it's exhausting. So now Gemini's new Help Me Schedule tool in Gmail tries to simplify that. It analyzes the email thread, checks your calendar, and basically handles the coordination. You're just reviewing the final proposal, hopefully not managing the whole tedious negotiation.
Right. Plus, Gemini is replacing the older assistant in Maps for smarter road adjustments based on real-time traffic and conditions. And even advertising is getting agentic now. DirecTV debuting AI-driven, personalized ads on screensavers.
Yeah, that signals a clear shift towards this ambient, shoppable content. It's always potentially there, but ideally only surfaces when it's actually relevant to you.
Okay, but with all this unprecedented autonomy and speed, we absolutely have to talk about the risks. The moment AI agents start taking complex actions for a company or for you, security and ethics become just paramount. And the biggest immediate risk seems to be the one we can't easily see. This shadow AI.
Yes, this is a massive compliance headache and a serious data breach concern. Sources indicated, I think it was 71% of UK employees are already bypassing company rules using unauthorized AI tools. They're feeding sensitive, proprietary company information into external models just to speed up their work, you know. But without any official oversight or security checks, it creates this kind of black hole of data risk for the enterprise.
So, how is the security world trying to react? How do you keep pace with these multi-agent systems that might be operating across networks or even completely offline?
Well, new governance and security frameworks are the urgent and, frankly, necessary answer. The Cloud Security Alliance introduced Maestro. It's a framework specifically designed to secure these complex, multi-agent AI systems. It's particularly vital in high-stakes fields like banking and finance, where an autonomous agent making a mistake could have immediate, significant financial consequences. And meanwhile, security providers like HackerRun are launching their own specialized agentic AIs for threat detection. They're also using tools like HackerRun Code to find vulnerabilities before software gets deployed, basically fighting fire with fire.
Okay, that addresses the sort of internal security risk, the operational risk. But what about the integrity of the actual data and content these agents generate or spread?
Right, and that's where the societal misuse becomes frighteningly clear and quite worrying. We saw reports of chemists sounding alarms because generative AI is producing inaccurate images of molecular structures. This isn't just a minor error. It threatens the integrity of scientific education and basic research. It's potentially corrupting the knowledge base. And, disturbingly, other sources showed far-right extremist groups in Europe are already using AI tools to generate sophisticated, fake Islamophobic imagery and deepfakes to fuel conspiracy theories across social media.
Wow. The push to combat that kind of misuse must be accelerating regulatory efforts then, like the EU AI Act.
It absolutely is. The EU AI Act is a major driver behind this massive push to label and authenticate digital media. We need ways to verify provenance and trustworthiness. When agents can create incredibly believable text, images, or video instantly, we desperately need verifiable proof of where it came from and if it's been manipulated.
Okay, let's transition now to the broader societal impact, thinking specifically about the workforce and education. What structural changes are these agents imposing there?
Well, we're seeing pretty immediate displacement in certain sectors already. Indian call centers, for example, are rapidly deploying AI agents, like one called LimeChat. And that's leading directly to significantly reduced staffing needs in those roles. At the same time, you see automation being integrated into public services at a really high level. Infosys, for instance, clinched a huge $1.2 billion contract with the UK's National Health Service, the NHS. And a core part of that is a comprehensive workforce management system. So automation is now central even to these massive public sector contracts, not just private industry.
And what about education? The sources mentioned a pretty radical shift happening there.
Yeah, it's potentially the ultimate disruption, depending on your perspective. A private school out in San Francisco called Alpha made headlines because they essentially replaced traditional human teachers entirely with AI-driven instruction. Now, they are reportedly getting top academic results, which is fascinating from an innovation standpoint. But obviously, it sparks this fierce debate about the long-term ethical implications, the developmental role of human educators versus these hyper-efficient autonomous teaching systems. What gets lost?
Yeah, big questions there. Yet, amidst all these challenges and debates, AI is also proving genuinely transformative in some maybe unexpected areas, right?
Absolutely. Think about biotech. A tool called Easy Specificity is improving enzyme substrate predictions critical for drug discovery with over 91% accuracy reported. That kind of boost can seriously accelerate fundamental research. Or in medicine, Rice University developed an AI that streamlines medical imaging analysis by an incredible 90%, that directly translates to saving clinician time, reducing backlog, and potentially saving lives.
And finally, just touching on global usage dynamics, it seems trust and relevance are becoming key differentiators, not just raw power. Like Perplexity AI surging in India.
That's a really critical point. Perplexity has apparently surged past ChatGPT in India's app charts. And the reason seems to be its focus on real-time, citation-backed answers so you can see where the information comes from, combined with strong multilingual support. It proves that users, especially globally, really value verifiable, current information and language capability tailored to them, maybe even more than just having the historically biggest or most talked about model.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what does this really mean for you, the listener, trying to make sense of it all? We've covered ground moving at just breakneck speed, from tiny efficiency breakthroughs like Samsung's TRM to massive global policy shifts. The core takeaway from this deep dive seems crystal clear. The industry has hit a major inflection point. AI is no longer just predictive or generative. It is now fully actionable and increasingly autonomous.
Exactly. The competitive race isn't just about raw scale anymore. It's fundamentally about efficiency shown by these tiny but smart models. It's about deep integration, think Salesforce automating huge workflows, or Walmart enabling frictionless commerce. And crucially, it's about trying to manage the deployment safely, with security frameworks like MAISTRO struggling to keep pace with the complexity and the risks these powerful autonomous agents inevitably introduce.
So we have seen AI agents that can code for us, sell things to us, schedule our meetings, and even manage public sector workforces. Given what the source material showed us about the widespread rise of shadow AI, employees finding workarounds using unauthorized tools, and the critical importance of security frameworks like Maestro, here's the really critical next question for anyone working in or thinking about this space. How are we going to ensure these incredibly powerful autonomous systems now capable of complex, parallelized end-to-end tasks remain transparent and aligned with human oversight, especially when they might be operating entirely offline or completely outside official company channels? The alignment problem. It just got infinitely harder when the agent might actually be hiding in the shadows.